since I have been here for about 2.5 hours now, so now you have to listen to me. Okay, so all of the speakers, they talked about technology and the companies that they are working for, the transformation. But some of you, not all of you, may be wondering, what impact does it have on my life? I mean, why I need to have this 5G? Why do I need to have LTE, 4G? Why IoT or Internet of Things? What about AI? How is it going to impact my life? What about cloud computing or cloud itself and then the mobile internet, which these are part of the what's called the fourth industrial revolution. Amir gave an example of Kodak. Let me try to relate all these terms to you. How many of you are doctors here, medical doctors, or know a medical doctor? Everybody at least know a medical doctor. How many of you are from the profession of law, lawyers? Okay. Now you may be with other professions. What can happen is that all these technologies, if you don't use them, if you don't know about them, that can actually make you jobless. There can be an AI system which can give you a much better opinion than a doctor, a much better opinion than a lawyer, because it would have access to so many things and it would have intelligence. It's called artificial intelligence because it's human-like. It's not black and white. It's not like a search that you make in a document. It can make certain decisions based on even which are not black and white, which are gray in nature. It can look at context, not just the meaning of words. So it can impact you. So that's why you need to know about these technologies. That's why it relates to you. Now coming back to my own organization, which is called the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority. And by the way, many of the words that Amir spoke, I'm going to ban them on the social media. But that's not our, primary job. Basically, the name, as it suggests, Telecommunication Authority, we are the regulator of the telecom sector. So when I joined in 2013, that's what we were trying to do, regulate the telecom sector. But about 3 years ago, and to be more precise, it's about 1 month less than 3 years, we had a revolution. We started having this mobile broadband, which is, you know it by the name of 3G and 4G also. And that brought in a revolution. I was looking at an older presentation from 2012, just 2 years before this event happened. And the prediction that PTA made in that presentation was that we are going to have 20 million broadband users by 2020, if the auction happens in 2012. Guess what? The auction happened 2 years later, but right at this point, we have 41 million broadband users, and that is 2017. So things have changed a lot. At that time, the definition or the speeds that you were getting with edge and all, at most 128 kilobits per second. And the other day I was reading an article which was critical of our telecom companies. It was saying these people are only providing 3.3 Mbps, which is 3,300 kilobits per second. So see how much things have changed. And our role also changed. As Amir described his organization, I probably have had and still have more challenges to deal with, because we are at the end of the day still a government department. There are many things that we have to look into, and that's why when I looked at this topic of digital versus digitalization, which basically in loose term it means that you have to digitize whatever there is still not there in digital format, and digitization or doesn't actually mean that you just scan it and it will become digital. It has to be in a format that can be searched, that can be partly transmitted, and so many analysis can be done. But what is happening now is that everything that is generated, that is being talked about, the big data, is already digital in nature. So from this point onward, all the data is already digital. So you don't need to do digitalization, it's happening automatically. Okay, so what do we need to do then? What is my role? What is your role? Should you just, for example, since our worthy speaker talked about the technologies, 5G and all these others, should we just adopt that because It's cool to have new technologies, cool to have new phones that has higher data. I would say no. We need now to use it, use ICTs, information communication technologies, and internet is now at the heart of it for solving some problem, for doing something innovative that can bring value to whatever we are doing. Not for the sake of technology, but to have some solution to a problem or to do something in innovative manner. Now, as we are moving into this technology, and I can see many people sitting here and myself included, we are now, this is another aspect of the technology. One is that, okay, we are using it to solve some problem, we are using it to stay connected, but I would say that it's even becoming an obsession. If I take your mobile phone from you, how long can you actually survive? How long would, without having the craving for touching the mobile phone, looking at the mobile phone, we are always, and we have this sense that something is happening and I'm missing it. So this is an aspect where I believe the social scientists need to come in, and they need to analyze all these issues and the way we need to educate all our, especially the young generation, how can we take advantage of this technology but at least not overuse it. And this reminds me of a visit that I made to a lab in Stanford University that is called Peace Lab, and they exactly analyze these kind of impacts. For example, what is the impact of these online games that some of us are playing, or especially the younger generation are playing, those that involve guns, that involve violence, how do they react then in the real life? And similarly, there are so many other things that are happening. In the future, like for example, all of you are using social media, all of you are using over the top services, WhatsApp. Actually, once you are on the internet, everything is over the top. What about the data that is being collected from you? How is it used? How are countries going to wage wars against each other? What are the psychological aspects of all these? For example, I have seen a study which analyzed Facebook trends just in Egypt, just before the Arab Spring, and they could see that something is about to happen in Egypt from the trends that they were seeing. So these are all these things that are happening. So I think all of you are coming from diverse background. I don't want to scare you, but what we need to do is use the technology in a manner that is beneficial, that can add value to your life and the lives of others. Use it responsibly. This is a great tool. And if you don't use it, you will be like Kodak of the past, that you are sticking to your own whatever you are trying to do in a way that you are trying to do, and the technology will overtake you, but at the same time have a life also. At least at dinner time, have a ban on phones, not to use social media at that time when you are with family, and so on. So I'll stop in here. If there are any questions, I'm sure our colleagues here can answer that. One thing that I like to finally add is that, okay, fine, we have these 5G technologies, and within the technology we have MIMO, and we have massive MIMO, and we have all these latest engineering related things. But many of the applications actually you don't need this kind of knowledge, and that's actually the advantage of internet. Just take the example of Uber. Did they invent anything new? They just took the internet connectivity, they took the maps, they came up with a software, and now they have a system. And they probably own more taxis, not own, but they manage more taxis than any of the taxi companies in the world. Similarly with Airbnb and others. So think about, at least from our perspective, as one of the speakers, I think it was Irfan, they mentioned that internet is a big equalizer. It doesn't discriminate. And we, from PTA's point of view, we have taken some initiatives, and I would like you to also consider these related to, and there are two groups that I'm actually concentrating a lot on. Those are persons with disabilities and our female population. We need to bring them to the mainstream. If they cannot come to the offices, we need to take work to their homes and make them useful citizens of this world, which is a global village now.